Before we go to our presentation, first I will introduce you with our group member. There are three of us. The first one is myself, Rushaidi Nurkerin bin Roseni Risham, with number matrix of AA212296. Then we have Muhammad Akil bin Jamal with number matrix of AA210951. And lastly, we have Muhammad Rizkal Sham bin Ramlan with a number matrix of AA210194.
For the introduction part, a hole puncher, often known as a paper puncher, is essential equipment and widely used in homes, schools, and business all over the world for the purpose of punching holes in the paper to allow for attaching multiple sheets together in an organized fashion. As a result, paper puncher is essential equipment and any stationery store will have a paper puncher. Not only do office workers use this equipment, but students do as well. As we all know, students still deal with paper, and a paper puncher is necessary to make holes in the paper, which will assist to bind the paper and turn it into a book. This tool is beneficial to pupils, and as a student, I believe that every student should have access to this tool. Simply said, the paper puncher is essential for everyone and quite beneficial.
Now I will talk about type of hole puncher in market. There are six types, which is the first one manual hole puncher, the second one electric hole puncher, the third one four hole puncher, the fourth one three hole puncher, the fifth one two hole punches, and the last one single hole puncher. Manual hole punches. Electric hole punches are less prevalent than manual hole punches. Inserting a couple sheet of paper into a slot and applying pressure to the top handle until it clamps down on the paper and punch a hole in it is how you use a manual hole puncher. Electric hole puncher. A push button control is used to operate an electric hole punch. Electric punches are handy for applications that require punching multiple sheets of paper throughout the day. A jam clearing function is included on some of the more expensive versions. Four-hole punches. The four-hole punches is a less common tool that is primarily used to punch holes in paper for use in four-ring binders. Four-hole extensions are available at some office supply stores and can be connected to a two or three-hole puncher. Three-hole punch. The three-hole punch is the most popular model. It used to punch holes in paper so that three-ring binders can be used. There are manual and electric versions of this punch. Some three-hole punches allow you to modify the punch head by loosening a screw, sliding the head along a track, and tightening the screw to lock it in place. Two-hole punches. Two-hole punches are less prevalent than three-hole types, although they are common in the legal and medical field, where two-hole clipboard and clipboard are common. Because two-hole demand less pressure than three or four, a two-hole punch usually requires less effort to use. Lastly, single-hole punches. Typically, the single-hole punch is used for custom punching and punching a single hole in the top corner of a stack of documents for easy binding. Single punch are used in casinos to make deck of cards unusable by punching a hole in each card. Cheater will be unable to substitute or mark card for previous deck as a result of this. That's all for the type of hole punches in market.
Again, but for now, we are on the different section, which is the general description. A hole puncher or paper puncher is a tool used to create holes in sheets of paper, often for the purpose of collecting the sheets in a binder or folder. Puncher usually can make holes on multiple sheets of paper. The rest of the punched paper will accumulate at the bottom of the paper puncher. You can punch all types of paper, ranging from standard printer paper to construction paper. With the thicker types of paper like cardstock and construction paper, it is imperative to use more force when punching so the cuts are clean. Some papers that you want to avoid using punches on are homemade papers, adhesive baked papers, and fabric lined paper. These types of paper often jam up the paper punch and are difficult to cut through. Other materials that can be punched include tissue paper, painter's tape, foil, and wax paper.
Now, bill of material of hole punches in the market. There will be non-component, which is plastic cover, rivet, base of the punch pin, punch blade, punch guide, spring pin, spring, and lastly, handle of the punch. The cost of each of these components is: plastic cover is 20 cent, rivet is 5 cent, base is 80 cent, punch pin is 10 cent, punch blade is 80 cent, punch guide is 40 cent, spring pin is 10 cent, spring is 10 cent also, and lastly handle will cost 70 cent. The quantity of each component will be: plastic cover 1, 4 rivet, 1 base, 2 punch pin, 2 punch blade, 2 punch guide, 2 spring pin, 2 spring, and lastly 1 handle. After I calculate the total cost, the total price will be 4 ringgit and 90 cent. That's all for the bill of material. Thank you.
For the table of component, as you can see on the diagram, these components are found on paper puncher. Let's go through one by one of this component. For the first component, which is the plastic cover, it is made up of polyvinyl chloride, is known as PVC. And for the base, punch pin, punch blade, and punch guide and spring pin, all of these parts are made up from iron. And for the spring, it is mixed up from low alloy steel, cold formed steel, oil tempered, synthetic hardened steel, stainless steel, and copper and titanium alloy. For the next part, for the next component is the handle. The handle is made up from iron, and the last component, which is the rivet, it is made up from nickel and steel.
Now, let's go to the discussion of our orthographic drawing. An orthographic projection is a method of portraying a three-dimensional object by combining many two-dimensional perspectives of the item. Multiviews are another name for orthographic drawing. The top, front, and right side perspective are the most prevalent. When getting the part dimension for this drawing, measurement issues arise. Some pieces, particularly those with filleted or angle design, are difficult to estimate in terms of dimension. The shape of the shape for this component is compared to another similar part in book and catalog, which is our advice. Other than that, some of the parts seem to be about drawing issues. These parts are classified as crucial parts, which necessitate additional drawing and alignment time. The final shape aren't precisely the same as the jointing, but they are close enough in terms of acceptable tolerance. We recommend estimating the closest shape and drawing the punch blade, punch guide, and spring guide separately. After both portions have been completed, join them together. That's all for the discussion. Thank you.
In 1886, a hole punch was designed in Germany, and it is now a common sight in business and classroom. The hole punch is available in a variety of models, each of which differs in in the number of holes it punches and how it operates. There are many varieties of hole punches such as manual hole, electric hole punches, and four-hole punches. Four-hole extensions are available at some office supply stores. and can be connected to a two or three hole punches. Three-hole punches are used to punch holes in paper so that three-ring binders can be used. The single-hole punch is used for custom punching and punching a single hole in the top corner of a stack of documents. That's all for all. Thank you.